Hello, everyone. And to those of you that are here, please just say hi on the chat so I know that you're here and you're attending this live chat. It's Lisa Jane. For those of you who have never attended one of these before or don't know me, or you're coming to my channel for the first time, I'm a healer from Cape Town, South Africa. And the first thing I have to say before I start is excuse the darkness. We have just started load shedding again, which basically means we are out of electricity for certain parts of the day. And I had no idea it was coming today and happens to fall slap bang in this time that I'm speaking to you. So I'll have to check my laptop battery because it wasn't fully charged. And I'm running on hotspot on my phone and I have my little ring light plugged into my laptop. So I know it's going to take a lot of my battery power, but I really wanted to come and show up because I'd committed to be here for all of you. Saying unable to connect to chat. I don't know why that's happening, but I hope it changes. Let's just check. I'm just going to say hello to you all just to see if it works and see if it sends. So maybe it's going to come back on, but isn't that interesting considering the topic that I want to talk about? Quiet. So I must just also say at the beginning is that I will not be necessarily my usual animated self. For those of you who don't know, my mother passed this past Wednesday morning after a battle with motor neuron disease in the UK, but she had also tested for COVID 2 or 3 weeks earlier to that. I've done my grieving as much as my tears will allow, allow it to flow. So I'm feeling fairly stable, as it were, and stable enough to talk to you. But I needed to share a story with you. And I was also nudged very strongly by Spirit, since I feel there is going to be a big soul release while we're talking. And I hope that doesn't freak those of you out who haven't done this work before, but there's nothing to worry about. It's what I do for a living, and it will just be part of the energy work. So whilst you're attending here, you're really just enabling me to hold the lights and hold the healing for any souls that need to transition. So before I get into that, though, and making sure I look at the battery of my laptop, and clearly there is something wrong with the chat, but anyway, we hope it comes right, is that I have long held a belief that we are more than this physical body. In fact, I'm going to tell a bit of a story, and my mom won't mind because she loved a good story. Is that when I was 4, I think I told her that I wanted to be a nurse nun. Now, God knows what that meant at the beginning, but I kind of searched my whole life. And now at the age of almost 53, I realize what being a nurse nun means in my healing work and in my soul work. I connect to the other side. That's basically what I do, and I offer healing. So what is a really important thing during this time, and maybe just to reiterate 2 things. Why I started the Metamorphosis Sunday Live series was I had a strong push from Spirit saying, you've got to tell everyone it's up to them. You've got to tell everyone it's up to them and their individual healing. So I'm like, okay, I will do that. So I'm just going to turn my mail off so it also doesn't ding in the background. And that was the whole part with the push for the initial teachings, is that to help you understand that your healing counts, that it is up to you to really look into your field, that your vibration counts, that what frequency you hold in your heart is important, and that essentially what is in the one is in the whole. And so healing yourself, you heal others. And for me, spirituality has always been about coming back to what the divine human means, and that is to hold kindness, compassion, respect, love for all beings from a state of grace. And grace is really that gracefully opening to the divine that I spoke about last week. So in my role as nurse nun throughout my life, I had clearly made a decision that when there was violence or aggression, I was not going to step into that. My home life was less than perfect, and I don't need to go into the details of that either. But I was always conscious of what field I held. Now, I'm also not an angel, right? This isn't about me being an angel, but it's a story that I want to share about the past 2 weeks and what led up to it. I'm also going to tell you a brief story about a client, and she has given me her permission. I won't mention names, but 2 days before my mom passed, I had a session with a client whose brother had passed away 2 weeks prior to that. So there was a whole number of coincidences that were bringing me very much closer to the veil, to the side of the veil, and into working with those souls that have just transitioned. So leading up to my mom's passing, and a lot of people ask me this, if you're a psychic, you're a seer, you're a healer, did you know that? Well, I don't get given information that might necessarily be hurtful to me or others, and I don't invade privacy. But if you want to ask about my dreams, I was well aware she was on her way to transitioning. I had a lot of dreams about my past life as a child, about my grand's house, and going back into the generations through my mother, my grandmother. They were all coming up into my dreams. And then last Saturday, when I went walking on the mountain, I felt a strong presence in my heart area and felt waves of my mother's energy. So I knew it was going to happen. So on Monday, I contacted a very special spiritual medium, Sharon Kaufman. If you like, I'll put her details below if any of you would like to use her services. A very, very soft, gentle soul. And I said, Sharon, I feel my mom's getting ready. Is there any work to do? Because if so, let's set up an appointment. As it so happened, she only got back to me on Tuesday afternoon and said, I don't do Zoom, but we can talk on the phone. And then, of course, early Wednesday morning, my mom transitioned. So I SMS Sharon on Wednesday morning and I said, look, Sharon, this has happened. I, as a channel and healer, if someone comes to me, I don't necessarily advise connecting someone who's passed so early because they are on their own journey and we need to respect that. But late on Thursday evening, Sharon phoned me and said, your mom has contacted me and she wants to talk to you. So I'm hoping I can share this without crying. So please forgive me if I wobble a bit. But it was very clear that there was work to do, but not from my side, which I had assumed it was from my mother's side. So without going into the very private details, the message from my mom was around how the work that I had done on myself in the years leading up to her passing had allowed her generation, her ancestral past generation, and future generations to be healed of the rage and the anger that they had carried through. And that's really the one message that I just want to offer you. Because tied into that, on the Monday evening, I had a chat to my client who had had a very difficult relationship with her brother, and he had passed of terminal cancer. He spent the night before he passed in her house, and she held him in her arms, chest to chest, and basically offered him healing and let go of any angst, any friction that they had as a sibling relationship. And she got a strong visual, and on talking to her, there was strong-ish visuals around this Twilight Zone, which I will discuss just now, but that in that release, in her forgiveness, in her open, compassionate heart for her brother, she also healed him so he could continue with his soul journey. So the most powerful message that I want to pass on to you today is that whilst I have been talking in all of these series and in all of my work about how healing of self is important, to hold a heart vibration that is lending itself towards compassion and kindness, you are so very much healing, not only in our current physical collective, but you are also healing at the soul level and in your soul ancestry and in your children and their children's children. Because in the spiritual realm, there is no timeline, there is no past, present, future. And for me, this is a powerful, powerful message around our soul, which is our spiritual persona, and how this COVID is offering a most magnificent opportunity for everyone to get in touch with that aspect of themselves. Because as one, we are part of a whole and we can heal ourselves and others. So, whilst my mother's message was in a way consoling because there was also a big apology of things that had happened, but also the biggest thank you for the gift of my own healing that it offered her and the others. What I received during that past week of working with my client and being with my mom while she was in the process of transitioning, which again was a tragedy that made me fully realize how many people are dying in isolation and alone, because this was a Zoom call I had with her. There was no touching, there was no tactile. We couldn't be at her bedside. And I suddenly saw an image of all of these souls who are sitting in what I call a Twilight Zone, which is where they had not had any family. They did not necessarily have physical contact, when all they wanted was someone to hold their hand. That today in my talk, not only do I want to pass the message that you heal so much more than yourself, and it is not a selfish journey. It is imperative at this point in time in our human evolution and our human transformation to a more spiritual, a more connected, a more conscious way of living. But that you also heal beyond that. So much beyond that. So as a healer, I would like to hold space now. And what I ask of you, if you are okay to participate, if not, I don't mind if you stop watching. But it is a moment of grace and a moment of silence where all I need you to do is just close your eyes and imagine those souls who are in the Twilight Zone who need to move forward as just these headlights in mist, because that's really what it looks like. They're in the zone of mist, the in between. And I want you to imagine these headlights as in the mist. And as we just sit in silence for 2 minutes, I want you to imagine those headlights moving beyond the mist into the light, because we can all heal. I might be a channel and this might be my way of earning a living, but we can all do it. So in my work over the last, before I get to this, I just wanted to mention this too, because they prompted me to remind you. In my work over the last 6, 8, 12 months, I've had a lot of clients who have come to me and said, I don't know why I'm here, but I'm here. And when they are here, it comes that there is a soul that needs to pass through the Twilight Zone and from the earthbound astral zone. And as we got closer to the end of last year, I had many more like that. I had some clients come with 20, 30 souls that needed to be released into the light. So this transitioning and the change in the energy matrix is also allowing souls to play their part in uplifting the planet by, as they leave, they take some of that energy with them. A visual, and a very simple visual, but one that has been quite powerful for me, is you can imagine if you're standing in like treacle, and as you move up that treacle, those strands move with you. So in clients I've been working with, whether there's issues of patriarchy, whether there's issues of gender abuse, whether there's issues of child abuse or addiction, in those souls transitioning, they are lifting up and untangling all of the energy matrices around that. So we bless and thank all of the souls who are transitioning at this time, because each one of them is a healer in much the same way as each one of us left behind here in the physical realm are at a place in time where 50, 100, 200 years from now, it will be known as the era of transformation to a much more conscious way of life. So everyone that is present is engaged in this, and it is your choice as to how you engage. But trust me, the healing is happening. And so this heart center, if you can release any bitterness, if you need to forgive someone, if you need to release someone, if you need to make peace with someone, do it now, because the energy is very strong now and it will be building up towards the end of the year. And if you want to read something where we really talk about the grace of divine, then I would recommend this book. You can see it by Immaculée Ilibagiza. I don't think I pronounced that right. The most beautiful, beautiful person, about Rwandan genocide and how she got to forgive the killers of her family. Now, I'm not asking you necessarily to go that far because that is divine grace in action. But what I am asking is really understand that by you removing that from your heart, releasing yourself, you are releasing many, many hundreds of thousands of souls from that burden too. I don't have much time on the battery of my laptop. And like I mentioned in an email newsletter, this sermon today was not so much about a teaching, but more about a graceful release. And so, if after this talk you need to go away in silence and you need to pray or meditate or intend for whatever it is you want, or to release yourself from certain burdens, then do that. And use the power of your imagination to see any burdens being lifted off you, any bags you have being put down, and bring in the light of grace into your heart center, because we want to clear the bitterness out and we want to clear the hatred out and the anger. And it is up to you. It is up to every single person to take the responsibility to do that. So if you feel inclined, I want you to close your eyes, or you can keep them open. And I want you to imagine that all of us gathered here are forming this circle, much like we were each a candle. So we each carry a light with us. And as we sit in circle, as I do my Zoom meditations on a Friday morning, you really start to connect. And if it feels right, put your hand on your chest and feel your heart beating in your chest, because all of us here are alive and we can make a difference. And with slow, deep breathing, I just want you to connect with that aspect of yourself that is your spiritual, that is your energetic, that is your connection to creative force energy, however you see it. Because we are only animated through that, as is nature, as are the trees, as are all the animals. And we are all connected in that way because that same life force runs through all of us. And as you breathe and you connect with the deepest center that is still and quiet, I want you to ask the energy of grace to flow through you. And I want you to ask that you be released from anything that is no longer serving you. And I want you to ask that any bitterness or resentment or revenge or anger, whatever it is that feels heavy on your chest, is released right now. I also ask if you feel like being present is just to imagine all of those lights in the mist slowly being lifted up, being lifted up by the energy of grace and the energy of wholeness and the energy of source, however you want to call it, so that they too may continue their journey. And as you perhaps close your eyes and visualize those lights moving, take a few deep breaths to honor your grace, to honor your heart center, and to honor the breath that is your life. And know deeply that in healing yourself, you are healing the world and you are healing the spiritual lines of past and present. And whatever it is that has come through your family line, and whatever harmful energy, it stops now. It stops with you so that you don't carry it through. So I know this has been a bit different, but I will be back to normal next Sunday. But it really felt like I needed to, after my very powerful spiritual experiences of the past 2 weeks, just let you know from the deepest part of my being that we are consciousness and we are divine energy and we are so much more than we think, feel, or act out. And that it is time to move to a place where we are more conscious of our thoughts, of our actions, of our behavior. And that the elements of kindness, compassion, not judgment, acceptance flow into our lives for yourself and for others. And I know the comments haven't worked. So if any of you have any comments, please leave them at the end of the video. I will read them. And if there's anyone specifically you would like me to work with and just help transition, if you feel they are hovering, please also let me know. You can drop me a private message around that. That is the work I do. So from my heart to yours, to anyone who has lost a family member, a loved one during this time, my heart reaches out to yours. And I wish you the utmost compassion. And I wish you more than anything, peace within your heart, peace from struggle, peace from heartache, peace from sadness. Peace. I wish you peace. And with that, I'm going to close off because you can hear also my alarm beeping because the electricity is out, and I apologize for that if it was distracting. And my laptop's about to die. So maybe now, if you are experiencing electricity load shedding, or you have time to use the space, then perhaps take that space, go and light a candle like I have lit there. And just really sit with yourself in silent contemplation. Because that's also the thing, right? A lot of people ask me what their soul purpose is, and get to know your soul then. Because your soul is just your spiritual persona. And to get in touch with your spiritual persona, you need to spend time in silence and solitude, listening, more than talking at the beginning, I think listening. So again, thank you so much for attending. Thank you to all those that connect with me. I will be back next week, Sunday, with another teaching. And I wish you a blessed week ahead. And I'm deeply grateful to all those that have sent me messages of condolence and peace and sympathy. From my heart to yours. Thank you so much. Much love and blessings. Bye for now.